Good morning, students. Today we are going to start chapter 3 of your ISC history book. The name of the chapter is Establishment and Development of Indian Democracy. And in this module, we will discuss Foundation of Democracy, that is the first general election in India. Before we start with the topic, let us understand the objectives of this topic. The first objective is to understand how the Indian democracy was founded. That is, we will discuss the first general election. And the second objective of the topic is to understand the reorganization of states on the basis of language. That is, the linguistic reorganization of states. In this module, we will discuss how the foundation of Indian democracy was laid and how the first general election took place and what was the significance of the first general election in India. Let us first discuss the new terms of this topic. Constitution. A constitution refers to the basic principles and laws of a nation or state that determines the powers and duties of the government and also provides the platform or base for determining the fundamental rights and duties of the people. In short, Constitution is a book which describes the basic laws according to which a country is governed. It explains the fundamental rights and duties of citizens of the country as well as the duties of the government. The next word is adult suffrage. It is also called as universal franchise, general suffrage, and common suffrage of the common man. Adult suffrage gives the right to vote to all adult citizens regardless of wealth, income, gender, social status, race, ethnicity, political stance, or any other restriction, subject only to relatively minor exceptions. In simple words, adult suffrage means right to give vote. It is given to all adult citizens or those citizens who are 18 or above 18 without any discrimination of race, caste, color, gender, or economic status of the person. However, there are some restrictions when this right can be denied. For example, if someone is medically proved mentally unfit or someone has been declared criminal by any court of India, that person is not given right to cast his vote. The next word is secular state. In a secular nation, people have the freedom to choose, practice and propagate their religion. The country does not have any official religion and neither the government nor any private institution discriminates among the people on the basis of religion. In short, secular state is a state which does not favor any particular religion, it doesn't have any state religion and allows its citizens to adopt whatever religion they want and also gives them freedom to preach their religion. The next word is public administration. Public administration is a field in which leaders serve communities to advance the common good and effect positive change. Public administration professionals are equipped with skills to manage all levels of government, that is local, state and federal, as well as non-profit organizations. In short, all the bureaucrats of India, all the civil servants, whether they are working at the national level or the state level or at local level, they are considered as the part of public administration. The next term is amendment. A minor change or addition designed to improve a text piece of legislation. So amendment means changes. It can be in the constitution or any law passed by the legislature or any book. The next word is sovereign country. A sovereign state or country is independent and not under the authority of any other country. A country which is free internally as well as externally is called as a sovereign country. For example, India became a sovereign country after its independence in 1947. It is free to form its internal policy as well as to design its external policy without any restriction of any foreign power. The next word is drafting committee. Drafting committee is a group of people who sit together to draft or frame a constitution. The drafting committee prepared a draft of the constitution for discussion. Several rounds of thorough discussion took place on the draft of the constitution, clause by clause. So, drafting committee work was to prepare a rough sketch of the constitution by reading the constitutions of the different countries of the world. The members of the drafting committee worked for 114 days, spread over 3 years. Later on, it was thrown to public to get their opinion. The next word is democratic. Democratic is based on a form of government in which the people choose leaders by voting. It is a government by the people. It's a form of government in which the supreme power is vested in the people and exercised directly by them or by their elected agents under a free electoral system, that is, by voting. In short, democratic system is a system where people have ultimate source of authority. People rule themselves. They do this by electing their representatives by a system of voting. The next word is republic. A republic is a form of government that has no monarchy and no hereditary aristocracy. Republic is a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. So, republic is a form of government which is against monarchy or kingship. It doesn't have any hereditary head of the state. Here, the head of the state is elected by the people. This election of the head can be a direct or an indirect one. National parties. A party recognized by election commission that secures at least 6% of total votes in Lok Sabha election in 4 or more states is called a national party. On your screen, you can see number of national parties in India. BJP, Congress, CPI, CPM. These are all the national parties of India. The next word is regional parties. A regional party is any political party with its base in a single region, whatever its objectives and platform may be, whereas regionalist parties are a subset of regional parties that specifically campaign for greater autonomy or independence in their region. In short, those political parties which have their dominance in only some region are called as regional parties. Shiv Sena, Akali Dal, Samajwadi Party are some examples of regional parties. The next word is scheduled castes. The official name given in India to the lowest caste, considered untouchables in orthodox Hindu society and practice, officially regarded as socially disadvantaged. So, scheduled caste are those people who in the olden days were called as untouchables or Shudra in the society, especially in the Hindu society. They were exploited by the upper caste Hindu Brahmins. The next term is scheduled tribe. The scheduled tribes people are the one who are previously untouchables. According to Hindu religion, this is the fifth category in the Varna system. Students, Varna system was a social division based on the caste system in India. It consisted of Brahmins, the highest class, the first class, which consisted of priests, teachers and intellectuals. The second class belonged to Kshatriyas, the warriors, kings and administrators. The third class was of Vaishyas, which consisted of agriculturalists, traders and farmers. The fourth class was of Shudras, that is workers, laborers and artisans. And the last class was Adivasi, that is the tribal people whom we called as scheduled tribe in modern days. The next word is reservation. Reservation in India is the process of setting aside a certain percentage of seats in government institutions for the members of backward and underrepresented communities. Already discussed about the backward and underrepresented communities. In the last two slides, we have discussed about scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Reservation policy in India is a process of reserving certain percentage of seats, that is up to maximum 50%, for a certain class such as scheduled caste, scheduled tribes in government educational institutions, government jobs, etc. Even in the parliament, the seats are reserved for the members of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. The next word is Election Commission. The Election Commission of India is a permanent and independent body established by the Constitution of India directly to ensure free and fair elections in the country. So it's a three-member body which is responsible for conducting elections in India. It is responsible for conducting the national elections as well as the state assembly elections throughout India. The next word is ballot boxes. A ballot box is a temporarily sealed container, usually a square box, though sometimes a tamper-resistant bag with a narrow slot in the top sufficient to accept a ballot paper in an election, but which prevents anyone from accessing the votes cast until the closing of the voting period. So ballot boxes are the boxes in which the voter go and cast his vote. The next word is ballot papers. Ballot paper is a slip of paper used to register a vote. So ballot papers are actually the votes which are casted by the voter in the ballot boxes. The next word is polling booths. A compartment with one open side in which one voter at a time stands to mark their ballot paper. The next term is PEPSU. The Patiala and East Punjab States Union was a state of India uniting 8 princely states between 1948 and 1956. Students, we had already discussed in chapter 2, the princely states were the states which were ruled by the princes and they were not under the direct control of the British government. The capital and principal city of the PEPSU state was Patiala. The state covered an area of 26,208 kilometers square. Shimla, Kasauli, Khangat and Jail also became a part of PEPSU. Now let us start with the discussion of the topic of this module, that is Foundation of Indian Democracy, the first general election in India. After independence in 1947, the people of India got the power to administer the affairs of their own country. The country faced a number of problems to be dealt with by the efficient leadership. The important problems were framing of a democratic constitution, adult suffrage, that is right to vote, establishment of a secular country where all religions will be given equal freedom, development of agriculture and education, establishment of public administration, and others. The leaders now took up the problem of framing or making the Constitution of India. Various committees were thus formed for framing the Constitution of India. A special committee was held responsible for chalking out the plan of the Constitution, and this was the drafting committee. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was appointed the head of this committee. After a lot of toil and turmoil, he was able to prepare the manuscript of the Constitution. The manuscript was published to know the views of the people. Students, here manuscript means a book, document or piece of music written by hand rather than typed or printed. So, the Constitution of India was actually a manuscript which was handwritten. And after it was published, it was given to people to know the view of the people. About 2,000 amendments or changes were later considered after knowing the viewpoint of the people of India. The Constitution then came into force on 26 January 1950. According to this Constitution, India now became sovereign democratic republic. Students, we have already discussed the meaning of sovereign democratic republic. Sovereign means India became free to formulate its internal as well as its external policies. We became a democratic country because we started election system in India where people were given right to elect their own representatives. And we also became a republic country where monarchy or kingship was not there and elected representatives were there and the head of the state was elected by the people of India. Henceforth, after the Constitution came into force, we observe 26 January as the Republic Day. One of the major objectives of the Constitution was to set up a democratic government in India. For that, the first general elections were conducted in 1952. In 1951-52, the first general elections took place in accordance with the new constitution. This election was a great success of the Indian leaders who had full faith in democracy. This was a great challenge to the Indian leaders. In a vast country like India with a large illiterate population, Nehru's decision to grant voting rights to all adults and the results of the elections proved his full faith in democracy. Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister of independent India. The results showed the triumph or the victory of Indian democratic system. In these elections, 14 national parties, 53 regional parties, and number of independent candidates contested in 489 Lok Sabha and 3,283 state assembly seats. 98 Lok Sabha and 669 assembly seats were reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes who were underprivileged people in the old society of India. It is clear from this map that in India, the single largest party in both general elections and state assembly election was Congress, which is depicted with the sky blue color. You can see Congress everywhere, whether it's northeastern states or South India or the western part of India or North India, everywhere Congress was dominating. The second party after Congress was CPI, which you can see with this maroon color here in South India. Here in West Bengal, you can see. So the second party after Congress was Communist Party of India. There's another dominant party you can see with the orange color, which was Majdoor Prajya Sabha, which was mainly there in West Bengal and northeastern states and in some parts of UP also. There's a party you can see with dark blue color here, which was the Lok Party, and it was there in few states. And here you can also see the white color, which stands for the princely states, where the princely states decided that who would be the candidate for the elections. So this map clearly depicts that Congress became the single largest political party in India after the general elections of 1951-52. Now let us discuss how the preparation was done for conducting the first general elections in India. During the first general election, 24,73,850 metal boxes were used. 1,11,095 wooden boxes were also used. And general elections for the Lok Sabha and state assemblies were conducted simultaneously. Such large number of boxes or ballot boxes were used because each candidate was given different ballot box. It was a great task for the Indian Election Commission to handle the administration because general elections and state assembly elections were conducted simultaneously. Sukumar Sen, the first Chief Election Commissioner of independent India, handled the whole situation with great care and caution. 25 lakh ballot boxes were used, which consisted of both the metal and the wooden boxes, and 62 crore ballot papers were used in this election. Students, we have already discussed the meaning of ballot boxes and ballot papers. Ballot boxes were the sealed container in which the voter has to cast his vote, and ballot papers were the actual votes casted by the voters. For every 1000 voters, there was one polling booth, and total 2,24,000 polling booths were set up in India. Polling booth is an area where the voter go and cast his vote. The entire election process was manned by or controlled by 10 lakh government officials. Now let us discuss what were the results of the first general election in India, which took place in 1951 to 1952. The first general election created a lot of excitement in the country. In the first general election, Congress fared very well. Congress won in 75% Lok Sabha seats and 68.5% of state assembly seats. It had absolute majority in most of the states excluding Madras, Travancore, Cochin, Odisha and Pepsu. Here Pepsu means Patiala and Eastern Punjab States Union. So leaving these states, which included Madras, Travancore, Pepsu, Odisha and Cochin, in most of the states, it was Congress who got an easy victory. This map on your screen depicts the Pepsu states, that is Patiala and East Punjab States Union from 1948 till 1956, because in 1956 they were integrated into the Indian Empire and the princely state status was over. Here you can see the Pepsu states. The biggest state was Patiala. Then Jind area was also there, and Faridkot also was a part of the Pepsu state till 1956. Congress made alliances with smaller parties and independent candidates and formed governments in some of the states. Apart from Congress, the Communist Party of India and its allies became the next largest party, winning 23 Lok Sabha and 147 assembly seats. CPI, along with its allies, received 4.6% votes. Jana Sangh, Hindu Mahasabha and Ram Rajya Parishad won only 10 Lok Sabha seats, receiving only 6% of total votes polled. Apart from these parties, former royals and big landlords did well in some parts of the country. Here, former royals means having the status of a king or queen or a member of their family before independence. Now, let us discuss what was the impact of the first general elections in India. Though the Congress enjoyed absolute majority in the center and states, the Congress leaders respected democratic norms and actively encouraged the development of democratic ideals in the country. Opposition leaders took part in Lok Sabha debates and made constructive criticism of the government policies. In spite of the fact that Congress got clear majority in the Lok Sabha election and also got absolute majority in most of the state assembly election, it gave due respect to the opposition leaders. The opposition parties also took constructive part in forming the policies of India by criticizing the wrong policies and making the government aware about the public opinion. The press enjoyed full freedom in all respects. The political parties, the trade unions, and all other organizations enjoyed full freedom to voice their protest. In order to make the democratic foundation strong in India, the press was given full freedom. There were no restrictions on opposition parties, the trade unions which assisted different political parties, and all other organizations, and all were given freedom to criticize the wrong policies of the government in the right way. Leaders like Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Ram Manohar Lohia, J.B. Kriplani, A.K. Gopalan, Meenu Masani, Bhupesh Gupta, and other important leaders exercised a lot of influence on the activities of the central government. Though all these leaders were in opposition parties, still they provided their valuable advices to the government on important issues of the country. This healthy development was an important contribution of Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of India. No doubt that Congress has won in majority of the state assembly elections and also a huge majority in the Lok Sabha election. Still, the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, always took the advice of the opposition leaders before taking any important step in the policy formation of India, and this was a healthy trend in the democratic system of India, which was a legacy of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. These are the objectives we have covered in this module. We started our topic with the framing of the constitution that after the independence of India, the biggest challenge for the leaders of India was to frame the constitution of independent India. The drafting committee under the leadership of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar played a vital role in framing the Constitution of India by studying the constitutions of the different countries of the world. Then we have discussed that it was clearly written in the Constitution that India would be a democratic country. So, to make it a democratic country, the first general elections were conducted in India in 1952. And it was not only the general elections or the Lok Sabha election, state assembly elections were also conducted simultaneously. And the work of this was entrusted to the Election Commission by the Constitution of India. Then we have discussed the preparation process for the election. We have discussed that about 25 lakh ballot boxes were used. For every 1,000 voters, there was one polling booth, and total 2,24,000 polling booths were set up in the entire country. Then we have discussed the results of the first general election. That in the first general election, Congress got absolute majority. It won 75% seats in Lok Sabha and 68.5% seats in the state assemblies. Other than Congress, Communist Party of India emerged as the second largest political party, which got 23 Lok Sabha seats and 147 state assembly seats and got 4.6% of votes. And lastly, we have discussed the impact of the first general elections in India. No doubt, Congress was a majority party in Lok Sabha as well as in the state legislative assemblies. Still, it gave respect to all the opposition leaders. The leaders like Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and Ram Manohar Lohia gave their important advice on the vital interest of the country to the ruling party. The press was also given freedom. So, the democratic system was founded by the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, by conducting the first general elections and state assembly elections in India. These are the questions we have discussed in this module. What was the role of drafting committee while framing the Constitution of India? This question is, what do you mean by republic? When did India become a republic? Question number 3. When did the first general election take place in India? The fourth question is, how many national and regional parties took part in the first general election? Next question, how many seats did the Congress win in the Lok Sabha and State Assembly in 1952? And the last question is, discuss the role of opposition leaders in the development of democratic environment in Indian political circle. If you want to explore more on this topic, there is a YouTube link given on your screen. You can click this link to get more information. With the help of this explanation and internet, you are advised to make the notes of this topic. We'll meet you in next session. Till then, have a nice day.